Color Skimmer is a family of shaders designed to produce flat color, fake cell, or real toon shading in an easy yet customizable and powerful way. The principle is simple enough: to map colors into meshes through textures. The shaders are classified according to the number of textures you can map, 4, 8, or 12, and by the type of shading they provide: flat, fake cell, or toon. To demonstrate each type of shader, I'm going to limit myself to the shaders with only 4 textures. The ones with more channels work exactly the same. The most simple color skimmer is the one that takes 4 textures and produces flat color. It is available for free and you can try it right now. The shader gives you access to 5 colors and 4 textures. The first color is the base color. Each texture works as a stencil. Where the texture is white, the color will be painted fully. Where the texture is black, no color will be painted. Of course, you can change the color anytime you want. You can expose the options of the shaders inside the game, which makes it very simple to give players the ability to customize their avatars. Here, I have only exposed the colors, but you could expose the textures as well. If you don't want to change textures during runtime, it is a good practice to pack them inside of an atlas. For this purpose, there is a baked version for each shader on the color skimmer family, which works exactly the same but uses only one texture and an editor script that makes the baking process painless. Having flat colors does not mean we can't create a sense of shadow. We could assign the textures and colors to fake the shadows. But faking the shadows in this way has a number of complications. For any change in the base color, we would need to change the color of the shadow accordingly. For any change in one shadow, we would need to change the other one manually in order to achieve consistency. The textures are more difficult to create. For this reason, we have designed a specific shader to fake cell shading. This is the Color Skimmer 4 channels multiply shader. In this shader, the first 2 textures have a special behavior. They are reserved to texture soft and hard shadows. If a pixel on the texture is above the base color, they adopt the color that you define for it. If the pixel rests above a different color, it multiplies their values according to the values set by the corresponding slider. Therefore, you can create consistent fake cell shading adjusting just a few parameters. And if you're going for this type of cartoony look, you might also want to have a contour line for your shader. We designed one specifically for this purpose. Finally, you may want to produce real shadows which interact with light to produce toon shading, and this is what the color skimmer toon is for. The principles work exactly the same as the multiply shader, where the first 2 textures are reserved for fake shadows, intended to fake environmental lighting. But you have additional parameters to define how your mesh reacts to light. There is also a version with a contour line. There are tutorials for each specific shader, as well as for the baking process, for exposing parameters into the game, and for the workflow to create shadows for your own models. Be sure to check them out. One shader, one mesh, endless variation. This is Color Skimmer.